Okay, welcome to my presentation about trade in the context of welfare economics. Okay, I want to talk about domestic price versus world price. World price, simply put, is the price of a product exchanged on the international level, and it's mutually agreed upon on everyone taking part in global trade. And producers and consumers alike of any country that is partaking in this global trade will adhere to this price, and the domestic price kind of becomes irrelevant. But what is the domestic price? Simply put, the domestic price is just the opportunity cost of making and producing a product in a country instead of getting it imported in. Ultimately, whether this domestic price is higher or lower than the world price will influence a country to either import or export if they take part in global trade. Okay, importing versus exporting. So importing, essentially put simplest way, is if the domestic price is higher than the world price when it comes to producing a product. Because if you're producing a product at, say, 5 in this graph, and the world price is 4, you will import some to make it cheaper. And this causes a consumer surplus. As you can see, there will be more consumers buying because it is cheaper now. This will lead to a decrease in producer surplus as well, because there'll be less incentive to produce, because stuff's getting imported in for cheaper, you can't keep up, whatever it is. Okay. Exporting is the exact opposite. Essentially, if your domestic price for producing a product is lower than the world price, that means you have a comparative advantage and you can produce your product for cheaper than everyone else around you in the global trade market. So you should export as you can gain financial gain. And doing this, there'll be a producer surplus because there's more incentive to produce. And there'll be a consumer surplus decrease because it actually makes things more expensive for domestic buyers. But the gains from exports make up for this, as you can see where my mouse is. So total surplus will still rise, just like how it will still rise in the import scenario, even with a producer's surplus decrease. Okay, so who suffers? Well, if a tariff gets placed on an import, everyone really suffers because it will make things more expensive to buy and things more expensive to sell and produce. Another argument for suffering within imports is the fact that it can lead to job loss. Because you can't keep up with the international producers. Exporting can also make the prices higher for domestic buyers. Okay, and then really quickly, my real world example, the British Leyland Company was producing cars for Britain, but due to a variety of factors, eventually they had to import cars from Japan who did it better and faster and cleaner. So what happened was the bunch of companies that were producing cars for Britain had to restructure or they shut down because Japan was so much better. This led to a lot of job loss, but consumer surplus still went up and total surplus still went up due to the benefits of imports. Thank you.